Hey, Decrease. How's it going?
Hey, it's going. How are you doing?
I am good. We had to reschedule this a couple times this week, but glad we finally got our mind over matter, right? The
Yeah,
the
been
mindset
very long.
coaching.
We've both kind of been on like a much needed kind of vacation. We
Yeah,
got some time off, and now we're back at it. So I think that's
perfect.
very important for trading and everything as we do. Take time off as well. As much as we do love this. It's really important to kind of treat your mind and body and everything, and just take some time off.
Yep, for sure. So
Yeah,
my
but
first question for
really
you
like
is do
this.
do you recommend that's where you like brief description of where you traveled, and do you recommend that? Everybody already knows about mine.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, well, I did travel. I took a 10-day cruise through the Mediterranean. So we did start in. Um, we flew to Portugal, and that's where we boarded. And we didn't really get to see Portugal all too much. Our flight landed a couple hours before we had to get onto the ship, so we just went straight over there and stayed there. So we missed Portugal, but then we went to a couple places in Spain. We went to Malaga, Ibiza, and Palma, and that was really cool. Really good food. I mean, I've never really had like a spaghetti based in like a. It had like a lot of seafood with it. Like I've never really seen so much seafood in a spaghetti dish. So that was pretty interesting to try out there. And yeah, and then we also went to France for a couple days. We went to
Nice.
Sur-Mer, and then we went to Nice, and those were both really awesome locations as well. And I do recommend basically everywhere where I went. We ended up going into Italy after that, and we saw um, Provence. So it was really really beautiful out there.
Awesome. Sounds like an amazing trip.
Yes, yes, definitely. I mean, the water out there was beautiful.
There's
It
nothing
just
like it
really is something.
for sure. Awesome. Well, so anything that I don't have anything planned because it's been so long since we've done this. I think it's been a month since we've done this. And so I wanted to just kind of catch up with you and, talk about maybe your return to trading and kind of your thoughts, what's important for us to be thinking about, and then we can kind of just delve into wherever that takes us.
Yeah, definitely. So, whenever I got back, of course, it's just kind of like getting your feet wet again, right? You kind of want to jump into a trade right away, but I mean, that's pretty much a normal feeling because you've been away from something you love for so long. So you're like, okay, let's trade, let's make some money, right? But it's really, really important to just keep everything in mind of like patience and actually be a little bit more patient whenever you're first getting back into it, just because you haven't really been watching the market day to day, hour to hour, and you're not really unsure of, I mean, I personally would pay attention to some data here and there, but I wasn't like, all over everything. So, um, I definitely just kind of just waited extra. And as soon as I got all confirmation, I kind of, got in a call, and it was a SPY call scalp first, I do remember. And I just got in and got out real quick with like 14 to 16% gain, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And then you're just kind of getting back into it, right?
Dipping your toe
Getting your
a
feet back.
little
Yep,
bit,
dipping
little
the
bit.
toes in the water. Yes, exactly. And you're like, okay, well, that felt good, right? And then let's be patient and let's do it again. And I did limit myself to 3 trades in the first day when I came back, and
Awesome.
we did win all 3 of them, which is pretty cool. And
For sure.
yeah, and I really think it is important to just kind of try to keep everything in mind of strategy and everything always, but especially when we get back, we got to kind of get our got to get the right habits down, like right when we start trading again. So
And it doesn't have to
um,
be from a 2 week cruise or something that's more extended. That
yeah,
really even applies over the weekend, which is why I always talk about Monday mornings. I don't typically trade often. I want to see things at least the first hour. And of course, opportunity presents
right,
itself. It's there. You take it. But I think that's a mistake that I see a lot of people. They're so excited to get the market open on Monday, and you see all the memes posted everywhere and all that, like, we're the only profession that is excited for Monday because we can trade again, and that's what we love. But we get a little amped up, a little too excited about it, and that turns the IQ knob down just a little bit, where you're not making the best decisions because you just
exactly.
have to be in a trade because it's Monday or because you're back from your trip, and that counts long weekends, it counts long trips. So being able to delay that, to sit out, and it's that whole Odysseus and the Sirens that I've described a lot, is to be able to look and appreciate the analysis that you had, but not have to be in a trade. It's probably one of the best things. It's called sit out power, the best things to
Yep.
be able to do. And I'm sure you learned this, like you didn't just all of a sudden come pre-installed with the idea that, after I come back from a trip, I'm going to just not trade. I'm pretty sure that was something that was well earned, right? You came back from
Yes. Oh,
something.
definitely.
I did for sure.
Yep. Oh yeah, no, you come back, you're like, and then you get humbled real quick, right? Whenever you just want to kind of dive back into it,
Yeah,
but
you're like, if I could have just taken
yeah.
that trading day off and observed or traded one contract instead of going crazy, or, then yeah.
Right, right. No, definitely. And everything is, yes, everything we do speak of is all based solely off of experience and what we've already been through. So
The
we're not just kind of
spanking
making this
machine.
up, you guys.
Our trips, multiple trips to the spanking
Mhm.
machine, are
Oh yeah,
hard
absolutely.
won lessons, but once they're learned, they are in
Hmm.
there.
And that's what we're trying to, prevent you guys from doing more so than what we did. You're more than likely going to go through a lot of these, things that I wouldn't say mistakes, but lessons, more so lessons that we went through.
They're mistakes
But
if
we're
you
just
keep
trying
making
to.
them. They're lessons if you learn from them.
Exactly. So yes, yeah, I really like that. Nice. Um, yeah. So as long as you're learning things, and we're here to help you, kind of like advise for you whenever you are going through everything like that. So feel
Well,
free
and
to
to
ask
to
us, like,
know
hey,
that
you
you're
know,
not the only one, because I think a lot of times
exactly.
and especially like it's better in this community, and Thor and I have talked about this a little bit, like how like there were chat rooms, there were AOL chat rooms, like there was nothing really that could come even within like 5% of what we offer here, and the support and the education piece. But it's still, you
Mhm.
still feel like I did it again, and you are not
Right.
alone. So I say hard won, hard learned, whatever that is. I don't make mistakes once. I wish I could say that I'm that person that, oh, never again, I never did that again. I
Yeah.
cannot
Oh
tell
yeah.
you how many times, and
It
I'm
would
like,
be.
again, really? I'm at a 40% port because I thought, like, I don't want to be wrong, so I'm just going to keep adding to a losing trade. Are you kidding me? So that's why when people ask me, do you add, I'm like, nope. Exit the trade, your IQ goes up about 30 points. Now you can decide if you're going to re-enter the trade. That's cool, but it's easier to make that
Right.
decision out. And I didn't just like one mistake and learn that. It was a couple years worth of pain.
Oh,
I
definitely,
lived in the
definitely.
spanking machine. That
Yep.
was my
And
home.
it's just you kind of keep seeing, like, you keep hitting trade reviews and you keep seeing the thing over and over and you're like, dang it. Like,
Yeah,
okay, I
there
gotta
it is
iron that
again.
out. And that's literally how, like, you learn, you guys. It's like we're all humans, so we learn from our mistakes, unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
I didn't make that rule, neither did you. So, it's kind of unfair, but that's just how it is. And the just you just got to you have to look at it like that, like every loss is a lesson, and yeah, just kind of keep going from there and build off of that. And if you have that mentality, you will go far and you will learn quickly and efficiently.
And I think going back to learning the lessons, it really is, you the more you beat yourself up for continuing to do it, the worse it is. So it's like the dog that's been kicked, like, just gets more and more
Yeah.
neurotic. They don't get better. So the more you kick yourself, the more you're like degrading of like, you're so stupid. Like, what were you doing? What were you
Mm-hmm.
thinking? And that internal dialogue happens for everyone. And for some people worse.
Absolutely.
So you got to
Mm-hmm.
catch yourself on your internal dialogue, and you really have to behave as your own risk manager, because you don't have one if you are
Correct.
not journaling and really reconnecting with what that was. So what did I do well in this trade? What did I not do well? How could I have made more money? How could I have cut this loss sooner? Then you're basically sitting out in the middle of the ocean, not paddling, and wondering why you're not making any progress, even though the paddles are right there, like the oars. So if you're not using your oars to row yourself somewhere, which is journaling, reflecting, doing your pre-market prep, not waking up 10 minutes before the market opens, or even 30 minutes, you still have to have breakfast and then you hop in the shower after you enter a trade, or vice versa, or wake up after the market opens and you're like, damn, it already ran, and then you FOMO chase it, right? All that stuff. The more
Yeah.
you can proceduralize every single thing you do. So when I come back from a trip, when I, have stuff that I'm like, oh, I'm gone all morning because of meetings or, whatever's happening in life. Oops, I cannot make that turn off. Um, you're not, you're not in this, I'm out of kilter. When I sit down and my screens are up, it's automatic. I know what my process is. And if I haven't set up my charts so that I know where I am in, what I typically trade, if I don't know what my levels are, if I haven't updated my T+2 in my previous, I do not touch that buy button until everything is done. So you have to think of it as like you're getting ready to sail across the ocean by yourself. No one else is packing for you. No one else is checking all the pieces on your boat that better be,
Yeah.
seaworthy and all the supplies. If you're just expecting to just hop on the boat and everything's going to be good because last time you were on it, it had all its stuff, you never know. Somebody might have hopped on there and stolen that rope or taken that piece of equipment. You never know. You've got to make sure that you are crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's as procedure, not just luck, not just I'm here, I've got screens in front of me, because you will find yourself in trouble. And it shouldn't be exciting. It should be boring and it's automatic, the same as you go brush your teeth. Exactly the same. Just boop, 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 flipping through. So walk us through your pre-market procedure. I'm curious to hear it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, just like kind of, I'm sorry, I was actually selling those 380 calls for
Oh, cool.
QQQs
Awesome.
expiring Monday.
Beautiful.
I'm out of those. That's, all I really need from that, 22%. And, but for my pre-market, just kind of like everything else, you got to eat, right? You got to fuel your mind. So definitely, I mean, I wake up every day and I shower just because, that kind of gets me going. And then I eat. And then after, whenever I'm eating, I start turning on my computer, start looking at charts. I mean, I have my same four charts up whenever I relaunch TradingView. So SPY, Apple, QQQ, and VIX do all pop up here. And I just kind of look at where we're at. If we're gapping up, I look at the gap and see if it's a healthy gap with volume back. I see if we're try to get more of an idea if we're gonna expect some selling at open. And I mean, if I'm ever swinging anything, I'm a firm believer in, if you swing something, just treat it as a swing. Don't day trade that swing after that. And it's if you're looking to sell that next day, anyways,
Yeah.
kind of like the QQQ 2 day expiration, like it's expiring tomorrow, so you want to get rid of that. And so I do like to just get rid of it and reassess and reevaluate and just kind of re-enter if anything. But I do like to look at overall big tech whenever I first turn on my computer. I like to look at SPY. I like to look at ES. I like to look at NQ for futures, and I just kind of just get an idea of where we're at. And I like to remember what kind of day, what day it is. So if it's Monday, it's Tuesday, it's Wednesday, every day is different,
Yeah.
right? And I do always look at data as well. Like, what are we expecting? What time do we have data? Is that 8:30 candle data, right? And then you're kind of looking at that.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I try to do mine. I actually try to do mine the day before a lot of it. So I set my levels right as market closes so that I'm not worried about any of that. So I move my levels. I, do a bigger overview, look at the weekly, the daily. Usually I don't look at monthly every afternoon, but sometimes I'll flip in there, but always weekly in the afternoon, just to see where we are in relation to things that are going on in the market and overall trend. I look at all the big tech, but I start out with the four indices. I don't spend a lot of time. I want to see what the differences are between them. I want to see what the Dow is doing. So DIA versus tech. And then Russell has been so dead for a while, but I always look at it just to double check. And then I'll go in and look at the particular tickers that do move the market. So you've got your FANG, but then you add in Tesla and Netflix and right. So making sure that you're touching those charts, even if you're not trading them, so that you can kind of see what the nuances are. And if they affect it, the more you can know about it ahead of time, the better off you are. So what the closes were is not a bad thing to get in practice with, even if you're not trading it. And vice versa. If you trade individual tickers, you still better understand how SPY affects everything, how QQQ affects everything. Because if you're not trading Apple, which is the largest portion of tech, right? It's what, 12%? It's still
Yes.
going to, those two are still going to affect if you're trading big tech tickers like Tesla or Apple or Amazon. You want to have your eyeball on those two charts. They should be up
Absolutely.
in small screens off to the side, period, even trading individuals. So, whatever area you're in, if you're trading AMC, for example, and I hate to even say that out loud, I kind of have a little twitch every time I say it, but if you're trading AMC,
Absolutely.
you have either RTY, Russell, or IWM, or both, at least one of those charts up because of how big of an impact AMC has on those, but there are other tickers
Mhm.
in there. So kind of what the general overview is. I get everything set up because then sometimes I might even be trading futures. But then when I wake up in the morning, and your point about a shower, I, I'm going to pause for a second and talk about that. You want to, even though you're most people are trading from home or from their office. If you're not trading from an office or you're working from home, you still should be up, showered, dressed, and ready like you're going to walk into the CEO's office every single day to the shoes, like all the way. And yes, I know it's comfortable. Like I'm in workout pants, and I'm laughing because I'm sitting here in like a Nike Dry Fit shirt and
Yeah, I was like,
and
actually, I don't wear shoes,
and
but
running pants, and I do have flip
yeah,
flops on because it's like 100 degrees. It's actually like 89. It's a
yeah.
little cooler right now, but
Oh,
up and dressed for
yes.
function, not sitting in pajamas, not like hair
Hmm.
unbrushed, haven't brushed my teeth or rolled out of bed because the
Look good, feel good, right?
yeah, look good, feel good. It's the mentality behind I'm dressed for success.
Yep, and I'm ready to get this day started.
And you're not like rubbing the
Let's get
sleep
it.
out of your
Hmm.
eyes. And so
Exactly, exactly. It
mine
wakes
mine
me up.
starts a
It
little
really
bit
does.
earlier. So I get up and um just double check everything, see if I'm going to enter any trades in the early morning because I already do have those levels. I'll do a quick run through of big tech again because I do primarily trade tech related stuff. I think as many of us do, and then I
Absolutely.
go work out.
See, that's where I'm slacking. I'll
Done.
get there, but I do more of a workout during our lunchtime. But
I can't do it.
as you know,
I will
yeah,
not. I've tried, and I've got my elliptical next to my desk that I'll get up if things are mellow and take like my iPad and have my
yeah,
screen still up in front of me and pedal at least instead of just sitting down the whole day. But I have to have I do not, when screens are running in RTH, I don't focus on my workout as well, or I'll skip my flexibility. Like I won't stretch. And I'm not one of those people that's very flexible. So if I don't stretch, I will literally turn into a statue. That's usually guys, usually not women, but whatever. I'm one of those
oh, me too.
that I my back hurts if I don't get my stretching in, and it's 6-7 minutes
Absolutely.
of stretching, but I'll skip that to go get on charts if the regular market's open. I just am that way, so I've learned that about myself, and you've got to make sure you're taking care of yourself physically because your brain's going to work better if you're exercising and de-stressing. And we're sitting in a state of fight or flight kind of chaos as you're watching the market. And hopefully, as you get more and more experience trading, that isn't the case, that you're not oversizing, that you're not, in trades that are just random toss spaghetti at the wall trades. So there is less and less stress with it. But there still is, like, you're not paid by the hour, you're not paid by the task, you're paid for your execution.
Yep,
And
trade to
that
trade.
in and of itself has a particular level of stress to it that nothing else, unless it's like a sales position, if you're 100% commission, then that's the only field that might have a understanding of what it what it feels like to just be like completely performance based pay. So that stress, we have to be able to manage that cortisol that comes along with that, because cortisol is what creates the fat around the midsection. It literally inhibits brain function, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and it's going to make your trading worse. So I'm going to encourage everyone to, it's a little harder on the West Coast, I will say. It's a little earlier. I'm Mountain Standard Time, so I'm up at 4:20, 4:25 my time. and the market opens at 7:30. So I'm up about 3 hours before market opens, do my workout, and like be able to sit, kind of watch, like, depends on the time of year, watch the sun come up, get a little bit of outside time. And it's usually like 5 or 10 minutes. I don't drink coffee. So it's like a glass of water, just hang out and just a little bit of relaxation time before I even gonna sit down at the screens. And then I post my and well, sometimes I'll post my market information, my econ stuff and my levels before that. And but oftentimes it's after it, because I want to be able to just be like, all right, I'm here. Life is good. I'm not rushed. I'm not like, damn it, I'm late for my computer. I got to get to my screens. I don't have my prep done. Because when you are rushing like that, you're not going to make as good of
Mhm.
decisions.
Don't
So just
gotta
having
be
it just,
impatient with trading.
yep,
Definitely.
yep.
You kind of get, yeah, and you're not yourself.
And
I'm
that's,
glad you actually said that. Like you go outside.
yeah,
Outside, I mean, you really don't. The human body actually fully doesn't wake up until it gets some vitamin C. So
the
it is actually really important to go do that. So I do like to actually, yeah, go stand outside and yeah, just
some
breathe in,
sunlight in
like
the
fresh
pupils.
air. It's a new day, and it's, yeah, exactly. I'm glad
Yeah.
you brought that up because yes, I do that, and I as well do not drink coffee. If anything, like a chai tea here and there, but
Yeah, I like chai. I mean, and
yeah,
caffeine doesn't really bother me. I just don't feel any different with it or without it. I'm already wound up as it is. Like, there's no reason to,
yeah.
I'm good.
I feel like that's a lot of like all in your head kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
everybody's like, "Oh, I need my cup of coffee." I'm like, "Really? Do you need it like
Yeah.
every day? Like just a no?" Yeah,
Speaking of mind over matter, right? There's
yeah,
the physical addiction to the caffeine that you're probably going to get a little headache, but you could wean down. Could,
yeah.
could
But I do
just,
see what it does. I mean, I was one of the coffee joes like back in the day. So
oh yeah, I started drinking coffee
it's
when I
just
was like 12. And I drank it until about 5 years ago. And then one day I forgot it and I was like, I don't feel any different. I love the
yeah,
smell of
like
it. I love the like sit there and a warm mug in your hand if it's a coffee mug. You could do that with
oh,
tea if you want, and
definitely.
it made no difference in my energy levels. And it actually, if you need
Kind of like a
caffeine,
crash. It
then
will.
it really isn't an edge anymore. If you have to have it, it just becomes your baseline. Where if I go have caffeine now and I wanted something performance based, like I needed to work through a project really quick, I could have a cup of coffee and be like 2x speed functionally. So there's actually some science behind the like human performance concept of not being on caffeine and then caffeine loading at specific times. So not saying not ever, just saying that you don't need to be all caffeinated to be able to trade. And I'm not trying to get to my desk so that I can trade right at open, because I don't trade. I never trade before the first 5 minute candle closes, or at least
Oh,
99.5% of the time. There are very rare occasions, but it's not in my plan. And I'm not there so that I have to be able to trade. And for a while, I actually had to not sit down at my desk until we were 15-minute candle closed. And then I could start looking at charts because I'd get all wound up and taking trades way too early. And so for me, I just decided my trading day, I sit down at 7:45, so 9:45 market time, because then if there is something that I'm going to take, I'm not entering it too early. And
that's
of
actually
course,
really smart.
you
Yeah.
kind of outgrow that. In fact, I recommend for a lot of people 30 minutes, because
Oh, definitely.
most people
Heavy
can't
on Mr. Time.
trade that first time well. They're
You gotta
not
be
fast
quick.
enough.
Hmm.
And I don't like to trade it. So then, I'll trade it if it's there. But, um, putting those pieces in place so that you're not finding yourself, well, there I am again. It's 32 after and I'm in a trade and now I'm having to average down again. And then I just like really, really try to get up and get away from my desk. So even if I'm not, I've got my 3 days a week, the Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, that I have a private personal training client at 10:30. And sometimes I drive from my home office to my gym to go train them. And sometimes I'm there in the morning. I just go ahead and stay after I work out, and then like trade from there in the morning with my laptop and my iPad and cell phones. So it kind of depends. That's the main thing that changes in my routine in the morning. However, if I am home and like Tuesday, Friday mornings, I'm back here by an hour before the market opens, or 45 minutes at least. And I still, after that first hour, like 10:15 market time, maybe 10:30, I'm going to get up and go walk around the yard, probably go pet a dog, probably a peacock, because that little guy, he's a year old now. He is so attached to me. If I like lean on, like go out on the porch and just like lean, he's up there like, what are you doing? Can I have a pet? It's hysterical. That little bit of connection with animals. And of course the dogs, they'll come lay with me the whole day and I can just pet them while I'm trading. But having connection to outside the screens and the sunlight, the vitamin D absorption is important. But connection with the world, not the screens, will make you a better trader. Stopping, I think the proverbial stopping and smelling the roses, walking around a little bit, makes for much better trades. Net out. So don't get stuck behind your computer. Don't get stuck thinking you can never have a vacation. Don't get stuck thinking I have to make that money back, because whatever's lost is lost. You have whatever money you have in your account. When you open up your broker and you've got a dollar amount, that is the money that you have to trade. If you continually think about, I'm down 50 grand, I'm down 100 grand, I'm down 2 grand, whatever that is, whatever that loss is to you, the more you focus on it, the worse it is, the more you're likely to stay literally chained to your desk, not giving yourself a break. Horse feeding yourself is another term. And just whack, 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 right? Keep doing it, keep going. Never paying yourself,
Absolutely.
because even though you're
Yes,
winning,
you
you're
have
still
to
just,
pay
you know,
yourself.
like
Yep.
got like $10. I don't care. Take a little bit out.
Anything. Yeah.
It's not we got to get away from the fear concept of I have to make this back or I'm not successful. We have to transition that into, this is something that is absolutely fascinating to me. I still love, love, love every second of looking at charts. In fact, there's sometimes on the weekends that I don't trade Bitcoin. I open a Bitcoin chart so I can literally see a candle
So you
move.
could just watch it.
Yeah, I'm
Candle,
like,
yeah.
oh,
During the
it's
cruise, I was like, because I actually I didn't like purchase the Wi-Fi like on the cruise, because I
oh,
was like, well, when am I even like enjoying the cruise on? So
right,
I
right. So
just
I'm
kind
gonna
of
sit in
did
front of my
purchase
phone.
Wi-Fi. Yeah, and then
Nice.
I mean, with that Wi-Fi, you're also on Wi-Fi with 6,000 other people, so is it
Yeah,
really that worth it, right?
it's not
So
really going to be
yeah,
executable
it's
trade kind
not,
of
and
quality.
right, and then it's not exactly. Now I'm going to try to trade on it with bad connection, get a terrible feel, not even be able to see the chart like when I have
Oh,
to sell, right? So
so
I
much stress.
didn't. But there, every single day I was sitting there like, man, and I even like it opened at like, what was it, 2:30 or 4:30 over there,
Yeah,
every day, and every day at 4:30 I'd be in, I'd be on like an excursion or something. I'd check my phone. It was just hard to get away from it. It really was.
yeah.
So
And
what my
that's
girlfriend was even like, really? And it's just
really,
like,
are you
well,
on?
like I'm not trading. It's just I'm just
I have to
interested to
look.
see what SPY's at.
I'm
Yeah,
brushing my teeth, right? And there's a Bitcoin chart,
literally.
and my husband's like,
Yeah,
you'd think you'd be sick of that by now. And it's when it's in you, and that's fine.
you gotta
But
love it. Yep.
make sure that it's not that you are balancing with other things and being able to step
Exactly.
away from the desks and being able to not be so hard on yourself, because most of us are our own worst critic, but we can
Yes,
also
absolutely.
really, from an advantage perspective, delve deep into that and start to really think, why am I doing this? What's the decision behind it? Is it fear that I'm going to be perceived as not successful? Is it fear that my spouse or significant other is going to leave me because I lost this money? And I hear that a lot. I cannot tell her I lost this much money. She will divorce me. And so I'm going
Why
to
do you
just try to
typically
make it
don't?
back. And I'm like, no, don't
Well,
make
not
it
like
back.
that, but
No.
I never tell my significant other like, how much I make, how much I
Yeah.
lose, how much because then whenever you say like the bad of it, they won't understand it, and then
Well,
it's
why
like
didn't
they
you sell
want you
it
to quit.
sooner? It's
They're
what you
like,
hear.
oh, why'd you do this? But and then they're against it, and it's just like, well, that's part of the, you
Yeah.
try to explain that like, well, that's part of the game, and then they're just like, really, like
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. So
You got to
if
like
you
be in
are
it to understand it. Yeah.
in a relationship or around can you guys hear the turkeys in the background? I'll post a picture of the
I
turkeys and the
heard
pets.
something. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I keep hearing
it's
something back
gobblers.
there.
They're right out. You know where
Okay.
the rooster is normally sitting outside my window?
That's
Now
perfect.
there's two tom turkeys out there.
Wow.
They're not small either, so I'll post those in a little bit. And in pets, it's pretty funny. And it's relative perspective because they're sitting next to my husband, so you can see that they're not small. So, um, it's better not to. I mean, I think if you need accountability, there's two sides of this. Some people are really driven by, if I'm accountable to somebody else, I will follow my rules. And if I'm not, I will degen
Mhm.
my entire account away. And you're
I
going to have to
actually
make
have,
that
yeah.
individual call, because there is, and it maybe isn't a spouse or a significant other. Maybe that's somebody that is maybe a little less emotionally attached in all of
Yeah,
those,
seriously,
but for somebody to
I
be able to look at it and
mhm.
be like, okay, cool. That was a nice day,
Yeah,
or that was a rough day. But
that's kind of like my friends that I'm also teaching how to invest. We kind of try to hold each other accountable. And it's kind of easy for me to do it. Like right now, they're still learning, but I do kind of like whenever like I have been a little bit impatient. And this week, especially with my entries in the first trade of the day, I've been taking really really early entries, and they've kind of been going against me. But the overall play does end up playing out. And we get
yeah,
lucky, of course, with green. But it's just I've been really impatient with my entries, and I was actually just talking to one, and he actually called me out on that. And he's like, "Hey, man, like your first trades haven't been as good as usual." And I
yeah,
was just like, you know what?
good to hear
You're
that.
right, man.
Yeah,
Thank you for I was like, thank you for and I haven't like I mentioned in analyst alerts, like I'm going to be hitting the trader views this weekend, and it's really nice that you have somebody else there to kind of like keep you accountable as well.
yeah. It
And
does
like
help
even
if
if
they
it's just
understand a little bit about trading, though. It really, and that was one of the things
exactly.
my husband
Mhm.
was like, I don't really, like, if I could help you, that would be great, but I don't really want to trade. Like, I think one person trading in the
Right.
household's enough, but I want to
Oh,
understand what
absolutely.
you're looking at. So, he'll walk by a chart and be
Mhm.
like, oh damn, what happened there? Kind of thing.
Right? And he'll
I
just
go,
see like the
whoa.
red, and he'll
Yeah.
like,
I'm
yeah.
like,
And you're
okay.
like, no, it's healthy, and he's like,
Yeah, it's good.
okay.
Okay, I'm waiting on my buy
Yeah.
right here. And I'm like,
Yep.
okay,
Yep.
ready, ready, ready. There's my entry. And he's like, that is not what I see. So I see
Right.
I'm going outside.
Yeah.
So
And you guys, it is actually really cool to just kind of like bring a friend into it. Like even just like try to bring like interest into it. Just be like, hey, like have you ever thought of investing? Because then you have somebody to like kind of grow with and kind of keep you going, right? Just like kind of everything else in life, even like kind of like the gym, right? You're like, oh, I don't want to go, but if you have a gym partner, there's another like kind of like an obligation almost, right?
yep.
And you kind of want to be better for that other person too, and like kind of motivate off of each other. It's kind of cool if you can like kind of get one of your friends to invest. And for me, it's actually kind of hard, believe it or not. Even though I was kind of like, you guys, this is my job. Like I could literally like help you guys out. But
Yeah,
it really is cool to like know somebody,
for sure.
even if it's one of us. If you guys want to like feel free to share your story with me in DMs, and I'll
Yeah.
I'll be I can help. I'm willing to hold you accountable
Well, and that's
if
the
you guys
part of
need.
the accountability channel is I'm going to challenge everyone to start posting some type of recap. It doesn't have to be like as involved as mine is, where it's down to the entries, exits, that kind of thing. Or it could be more involved. It could be some of the psychology pieces behind it. I FOMO'd into this, added to it, and I'm going to own that I did it because it's my business and I did it, kind of thing. The more honest you can be about where your struggles are, the more help you're going to get from the community. And nobody's going to be like, what were you thinking? Now, if you do it a bunch of times and we've helped you work through it, I will call you on your shit. I will say that. I will be like, we've discussed this 8 times. Done. You're done doing that, right? I'm happy to give the tough
Yeah.
to the tough love, but it's not going to be the first time. It's probably not going to be the fourth or fifth time. But after a little bit, I'm like, all right, we've had this discussion
I
because
guarantee you.
I can't keep
Oh,
going.
sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no, no. Okay. I guarantee you guys, if you guys say like, or if anybody writes literally anything in trading accountability, I could vouch, and I have been there. Like
Mm-hmm.
I could say like confidently, like, oh, you like, yes, I have definitely done that, right?
Yep.
And like we all probably have, and it's
Multiple
that
times.
that's a good point to bring up as well. It's like if you guys think you're the only one that's like doing the same mistake, even if it's over and over again, I promise you, you're not. Like
And
I
owning
guarantee
it,
you, one of us has been
especially
through
over
it.
and over,
Mhm.
owning it will make a
Oh
big
yeah.
difference. And the
Yep.
community's here for that, is to be able to, if we need to, tough love, or if we need to, be able to
Mhm.
help you through something. But if you're not reaching out, if you're not, like, if you're just like suffering in silence and like, I'll never be a trader. You can be, You can be successful, you can
Yep.
be consistently
Oh,
profitable,
absolutely.
but it's a, you got to take a good long look in the mirror. And the first step to that is really like, what are you doing repeatedly? So I'm going to encourage everyone to start journaling to some
Yes,
degree
please.
and get, whether it's a recap, whether it's a, like just write up of, your, how your day went, just 3 sentences of, I traded this and this and this, my net profit on the day was, and, here's how I could have made this day better for whatever that is, or something, like whatever works for you. Every person is super different. It does not have to be paragraphs and paragraphs, but the more you can actually look at what the facts are of what you're producing, the better you're going to not be, or the sooner you're not going to be in the hole that you're in, if especially if you're struggling right now. And struggling can be anywhere from, I'm still losing money, I'm still having to refund an account over and over and over again, all the way to wild capital swings, meaning that you've got a 5 grand account and you're up 2 grand on one day and down 3 grand the next day, where it's just erratic. It's all over the place, but basically you're net even. You're not really making any progress. That's not consistently profitable. And if that's you, that journaling, even if you are consistently profitable, you still probably should be journaling for quite a while,
Oh yeah.
really
I still
looking
journal
into
everything because
brain, what am I doing? So
oh my God.
what went wrong with that trade? What went right with that trade? When I see that again, that pattern or that environment, because it's not ever going to be exactly the same, because the market participants are different at each time, at any given time. But you know, that idea, that moving average was pointed that direction versus that direction, or whatever you're taking note of, you start to build a catalog of scenarios. If this happens, then I, and if that happens, then I, scenarios, as opposed to, I got to find a trade, right? It's, you come in with a game plan. So feel free to reach out to either of us in DMs. I do answer DMs. If I'm actively in a trade, it will be a little bit later, and D Cruz is the same way, like really, really responsive. So if it's something that you're not comfortable with, from a group post perspective or whatever, totally fine with that. But make sure that you're reaching out and utilizing the resources that are here. And that is your analysts. It's, I mean,
Yes.
we have an amazing set of our like trusted traders, our junior analysts, and members. It's crazy. Like, members are so supportive, but if you're just sitting off to the side in silence and not having a good learning growth experience, you're underutilizing what this group is for. So I'm going to post a little
Yep.
picture in the psychology channel and challenge everyone that's listening to this to go check that out. I should have put that as my, dang it, I could have put it as my picture inside the Mind Over Matter video. I'm a little late now. I'll put that as the
Oh,
the slide, the intro slide, in the YouTube when I get it set up in the YouTube video.
well, if you really wanted to, you could edit that.
I
Like
can.
you could edit out. You could edit kind of like
Yeah.
a picture
I'll just
over.
I'll just throw
But
it in there
yeah,
as the thumbnail, and then put it as
there you
the
go.
end cap. Yeah. And then I'm going to put it in the
Yes.
psychology channel, and I'll tag everyone, because I'm curious to hear where you are in this range. So you'll see what I mean when I post the picture, but I want to hear where you are. And that could be, let's say we put it in off topic so we don't absolutely just train wreck the trading floor. But knowing where you are gives you a much better chance of getting where you hope to be going. And we want to have as much use of a GPS as possible, which we are your GPS. We're helping you navigate, but we're not driving your car. So if you think about that perspective, we're saying turn left at Interstate 70, turn right, right? Get off at the next exit. But
Yes.
but I, as the navigator, as the GPS, can't make your car turn unless, of course, it's a Tesla. Okay, whole nother conversation. Navigation, but you get the general idea. We're trying to provide as much guide information as we possibly can, but you have to turn the wheel, you have to hit the brake pedal.
Yep.
Sometimes you
The
have to
number
get out of the
one.
car, which is taking the batteries out of your mouse and
Yeah.
putting them away on like data days.
Yeah, no, honestly,
Maybe
because
even
like
handing
I
the
try to be
batteries to your spouse, being like, here, can you hold these for me
is
for an hour? That
yep.
way I can just stare at the screen and I can't do anything.
Even if it's just doing something you needed to get done,
Yeah.
I know we all have a to-do list, right? And if you guys say you don't have a to-do list, well, you're lying to me,
I
or
have
I'm
lists for
sorry.
my lists.
But
Yeah.
everybody has something to do. Like, like that's there'll be some days where we try to, convince you guys to do that. That's just, if you ever see us doing that, or if you see, like the other day, Cedar mentioned like, oh, I'm not gonna be touching options until
Yeah.
X or whatever, and she's gonna be trading futures. You should probably not be touching options either.
Yep.
So, kind of see what we're doing. And I promise you, it's not we're being lazy because trust me when I say this, we love trading, right?
Oh, if there's a
It's just
trade to be
we need
taken and we
setups. Uh
physically
huh.
can, we're taking them.
Yep.
But
We're taking it, yes.
it's that,
But,
and we physically can, right? Because we do have to be
hmm
like not in a meeting or, so,
exactly. Whenever we actually can, yes. But, yes.
love it.
Yep.
I like these impromptu. I mean, it's good too to have
Mhm.
something planned, but I think just catching up like that is a beautiful thing. All right, we should
Really
be
is.
back to our regular Wednesday at 12 p.m. weekly now because no travel planned, no nothing at least during the week for me
Nope.
for quite a while, and I feel kind of
Yep.
happy about it. I feel all nice and settled.
Same.
Yeah, so awesome. It was
I
good
definitely
talking with
wanted to
you.
be back, and I'm not leaving. Nobody could really pay me to leave, so
All
I'll
right,
be hanging out here. So let me know if you guys need anything. You guys, please. DMs are open.
awesome. We'll see you soon.
And yeah, we'll talk to you soon, Cedar. Thank
Okay.
you. Have a great weekend.